Okay, so in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up a Google Ads account for a local business, as in you serve customers locally, perhaps plumber, electrician, florist, something like that. For the purposes of today's tutorial, we're going to look at a floor sanding company, somebody that would go out and strip the floor back, make it look nice, etc. That type of thing. Okay, so I've got a dummy landing page set up, ready to go. So let's jump in. So I'm presuming for the purposes of the tutorial that you can see the same type of options as I can here. If you are missing lots of these options across the top, what has happened is you have only a basic form of Google Ads. You need to go to Google and ask them to unlock it. Google are very fond of setting you up with just a smart version so that you can create a smart campaign, which means that all of the options you're going to need for today will be hidden and you won't be able to get into any of them. So if your screen doesn't look like mine, go to Google and ask them to unlock it. Okay, so before we get started, we're going to need to know what keywords people might use that we're going to bid upon. So what I would suggest you do is within your Google Ads account, you would go to Tools and Settings and open the Keyword Planner. Once you're inside the Keyword Planner, let me just show you what I did there. So once you're inside the Keyword Planner, you would then enter a couple of starting keywords. So you would click on Discover New Keywords, and you would enter a couple of starting keywords that represent what you sell. And you can see that mine here might be floor sanders, floor sanding Bristol, etc. So I've run a few options here and I've got some example keywords to start with. Now, when you're running a local campaign, just a handful of keywords is good enough to start with because you can always add more. So please don't think that you've got to come up with hundreds. Just a handful is okay to get started with, especially when you're dipping your toe in the water. So let's keep this open and let's go then back to the original screen. Now what I want you to do now is set up a campaign. Now, if you can't see the new campaign option, then you need to make sure that you've actually clicked on the campaigns here within the light grey column. So we've got the dark grey column here on the left, so maybe you might need to click at the top there, then go to campaigns, and then you'll either be able to click the blue campaign button here or here. There's lots of ways to do the same thing in Google Ads. So we're going to click here where it says new campaign. And we're going to ignore all of these options because we don't want to be forced down Google's automation path. We're going to create a campaign without a goals guidance, and we're then going to choose a search campaign. And we're then going to ignore these options here and click on continue. Okay, so you probably wouldn't see that option there. That was just where I've been doing a test draft ready for this tutorial. Now I want you to untick these boxes here, because even though we've told Google we want to appear on the search network, i.e. within google.com or .co.uk, Google wants to make us waste our money by sending it across the display network, which is loads of blogs and forums and irrelevant places, and also on search partners, which are other search engines other than Google. So this is one of the reasons why it's so easy to waste your money when you get started with Google Ads, because these options will be left on by default along with lots of others. So let's stay focused and paying attention because we don't want to risk accidentally putting any more on. So let's give our campaign a name, Bristol Floor Sanding. Do we want any of the settings hiding within here? We might want to schedule our ads. So we might want them running only Monday to Friday, 8 AM to 8 PM, for example. Whatever your work hours, you would schedule them there. The important bit we need to focus on is our location. So in this case, we're going to have it showing within Bristol. We're going to click the target button, and we're then going to leave it at that. So you could of course add other cities if you wanted to, although most of the time it's best to have just one city at a time. We don't need to change any of this. When it comes to the budget, set a small starting budget to start with, £10–15 per day, something like that, just to dip your toe in the water until you've got it working, when of course you can then put it up. When it comes to bidding, it's very important we do not want Google in charge of the bidding. So we're going to select a bid strategy directly. From the drop down arrow, we're then going to manual CPC is the one we're going to choose. And that is because if we left Google in charge of it, it would bid extremely high, it would overbid, we would pay far more per click than we wanted to. So we want to have control of the bidding, very important. Ignore the messages that it gives you. Now at this stage you probably want to add a call extension. So you would click here on New Call Extension. You would then add United States or UK. You would actually add your phone number and then save it. Once it's within there and you've done it the first time, you would click on it to add it here like this, and then save and continue. And we're then going to start using the keywords that we've been building out here. So what we're going to be aiming for is each ad group should contain only one keyword or very similar keywords. So let's go back and grab one of the keywords. Right, we want to appear for sanding Bristol. So that's what the ad group name is going to be, sanding Bristol. Default bid. Probably, generally most of the time I start at just a couple of pounds or a couple of dollars, because you can very easily adjust it up or down the minute it launches. Because once it launches and once the campaign goes live, Google will warn us if it wasn't actually high enough. So we've got our bid. We're then going to enter our keywords. Now our keywords is the same as the ad group name, but what we want to do is we want to do some special little we want to refine it more carefully. So we want square brackets around it, which means that we're going to force Google to only show it on Sanding Bristol, Sanding in Bristol, Sanding Company Bristol. It will show it for very closely related keywords, but it won't mix us against something crazy like B&Q sanding or Amazon sanders for sale Bristol. So it won't choose crazy keywords. So that's what the benefit is of putting the exact match square brackets around them. Okay, and we're then going to want to add the same here with the speech marks, with the phrase matches. So now previously we would have then added a third type as well, which would have been called modified broad, which some of you may have heard of that's watching this video. That one is now being phased out. So for the purposes of today, we're just going to start focusing just on the exact and the phrase matches. So we'll leave those two in there. And we're then going to click on Save and Continue. Oh, in fact, let me point out to you that the purpose of having Sanding Bristol in phrase matches is because they will be allowed a word before or a word afterwards. So if somebody typed in local Sanding Bristol, it would still show up, okay, because the phrase Sanding Bristol is within what they typed. So I appreciate it is quite a difficult thing to grasp at first, but just understand that these are the two methods that we suggest for making sure that Google doesn't match you against anything crazy. Okay, so save and continue. So we're now going to be asked to enter our URL, which is this one here. So please ignore the fact it says Automation Marketing Company. Obviously this was a dummy that I've set up. Normally, of course, if you could have a website that actually includes bristolfloorsanding.com, for example, that type of URL will increase your click-through rate because in the prospect's eyes it's more relevant. But whatever your domain name is, it doesn't really matter too much here, okay? So, and that's the URL we're sending people to, which will be the landing page you've got set up, or it could just be your home page. So whatever the URL is, whatever the web page you are sending people to, that's what you enter here. And then the display URL is this is where you could enter the keywords. So we want Bristol, I'm going to put a space, then floor sanding. Okay, then if I just click away there, you can see that it's now showing that within the preview. In fact, it's showing us that the sanding's not actually going to appear within it. So it's obviously the automated marketing company bit's too long, but it will show you what it can of it. Okay, and then it's advising us, make sure you include these keywords in your headlines. And it's showing us this little preview over here of what it, of what the ad will look like as soon as we've completed it. Okay, so what we would do is go and fill in at least 3 different bits of the headline. So it might be something like expert floor sanding, 25 years experience, dust-free floor sanding. So we're including we're a mixture of features, benefits, or anything which you have to say about your service. I actually do have blogs. I think I've got a blog probably about 2,000 words long on my website, clairejarrett.com, that's all about ad copy. So rather than trying to fit it all in here now, please do feel free to go and check out the website. Now you want a minimum of the 3 different lines. You don't have to fill in the rest, so we certainly won't. Then when it comes to the description, generally you might take that from the actual landing page. So our experienced staff will look after your floor. Let's go. Our experienced staff will look after your floor with care. So you can see this is what I would generally do with the client account, is I would take elements of what they say they want visitors to read, and then I would put that in the description. And Richard himself will take good care of you and your floors. So if you're a local business and you're competing with the big guys, it's always a good idea to push that fact. And I'm a big believer in helping the little guys compete against the big guys. And people buy from people. So if you say, like it'll be me that actually answers the phone when you ring, then or if you're doing it for a client and saying this, then please do say that, like they will pick up the phone directly. It's a small local company, friendly and approachable, anything like that always gives a big push to the local company. We'll then save and continue. Okay, so it's now telling us that there's no traffic expected. This is an error message that I sometimes see, and it depends how much. You can see that it says there's only 10 searches per month for that particular keyword. Even if it gives us this message, we're going to click go anyway, because it's not going to waste our money. So we're going to click on publish. Okay, and we're then going to go and set up the next ad group. Because if we have lots of very similar ad groups, the ones that get traffic, fantastic. They've got really relevant ads worded for them. If they don't get any traffic, then they don't get traffic. It doesn't waste any money. But of course, if there's 10 searches a month and we're the only ones that have got an ad written for that keyword, we will be the ones that get the click and our competitors won't. So please do remember that, is it won't hurt you to set up more ad groups with very specific keywords within each. Okay, so next ad group. So I can click here or here. So if I click here on ad groups, then you can see here is my first ad group. I'm then going to click on a second one for the second keyword. Let's go back and get another idea here. Right, so this time I'm going to go for floor sanding, which has got a lot more traffic expected. So floor sanding, let's copy that. Going to go for £2 again. We're then going to add it in its exact form and its phrase form, which means it will show only for floor sanding or very related keywords. And we're then going to click on save and continue. And then very helpfully it fills in everything for us. So now this is for the keywords floor sanding. You can see that let's make sure we've got floor sanding Bristol. So you can see it's already very specifically worded for floor sanding, so probably not a lot else we need to do there. So let's click on save and continue. Okay, and we can then do our third one. So what we've done there is we just set up a second ad group with very similar keywords, and then just changed a tiny little bit of the ad. Let's find something which is a little bit more different. So let's go for floor refinishing. So we're still within the ad groups tab. Click on the blue button, and we're then going to go for floor refinishing, which I'm going to capitalize, just because every time I copy and paste it into the ad, it will, we do want it capitalized. Default bid, let's go for £2 again. Let's put it in its exact form and then its phrase match form. We're then going to click on save and continue. And we're then going to change the headlines slightly. So floor refinishing. Let's make this ad be all about floor refinishing instead. And you can see the preview showing up that actually this ad is now going to be a refinishing ad instead. Save and continue, etc. And what we would then have is a handful of groups set up with very, very focused targets, because the campaign is set up. So the campaign, which we can see here, so if I click on settings, it's going to take us into the campaign settings. So here we go, Bristol floor sanding, set up with a budget of £15 per day. But within that, each of these groups has keywords with a maximum bid of £2. So it might be that we get 7 clicks, £2 each, £14 our ads would turn off for the day. Okay, so that's the actual basics of how to set the campaign up. Something you would then also want to do is add in negative keywords as well, to make sure you prevent traffic from coming in that you don't want, and that might be from neighbouring towns, it might be for B&Q and Amazon, etc., the likes of. So let's go and do that now. Okay, so we would go to Tools and Settings. Under the Share Library, Negative Keyword Lists, we're going to click on the blue plus button, and we're going to create I like to call it shared, because it then means I share it amongst all of the different campaigns that I'm running. You can call it whatever you like, your list of negative keywords. And then you want to add as many keywords as you can think of that you don't want to appear for. So that might be things like free and cheap, might be things like B&Q and Amazon, but you can also find some from looking through the keyword ideas. Okay, I don't want to appear for the word orbital, because that is somebody looking to buy a floor sander as opposed to having the service. So very fine, very clear. You do need to be very clear over the differences that people would use if they're trying to buy a product versus hire a service. Drum floor sander, let's have the word drum, and so on. So you would go through that list and add as many negatives as you can. We would then save it, but at this point it's not been applied to anything. So I want you to then click on the button to the left of it, apply to campaigns, and apply it to your campaign, okay, by clicking that apply button. Now, whenever you want to add any more, and you should do on a regular basis, you simply go to Tools and Settings, Negative Keyword Lists, you click here on the shared one, you click at the blue plus button at the top, and then you go and add some more. And it might be that you realise you don't want to appear people looking for YouTube or videos, it might be that you don't want people looking for sanding jobs, and so on. And what that will do is it will save your budget so that it's only appearing for more relevant terms, okay? So we then click on the back button just here, and then your ads will then, once it starts to go live, so if I click here within the campaign, you can see that it's telling us it's eligible. If I click on any of the ad group names, it will tell us it hasn't actually been reviewed yet. There you go, see the keywords under review. So once they'll go and look at the landing page, they'll go and check that it's all relevant, and then your ads will start to show pretty much straight away, very quickly. But what I'm going to do now is go back to the campaign, and then I'm just going to pause it, because obviously this is for the purposes of testing. And what I want you to note is the fact that the ad group, or the keywords in this case, are still all live, but the campaign itself has been paused. So as soon as I unpause it, you can see the ad groups are live, the keywords are live, but because the overall object, which is the campaign itself, is paused, nothing will show. So I only need to pause one thing, and that's the campaign. Okay, so really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you need any help with your Google Ads, then please do leave a comment below or come and find me at clairejarrett.com, and I look forward to being of assistance. Bye for now.